Welcome back to Studio Chatter. We've had our next guest with us many times before. You might say they're perennials. Let's welcome Travis and Stephanie Knoop from Laughing Owl Greenhouses to the table. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, guys.
Here.
I'm glad you said perennials because I get that mixed up, annuals and perennials.
So let's define that.
Yeah,
for some, our friends that don't know.
Right. Yeah. No. So an annual is a flower you have to plant every year.
Okay.
They usually the ones that give you the brightest color, instant gratification right away. Our perennials are the ones that you plant and they survive year after year.
Like dianthus. Would that be one?
Yeah.
So is it more about the annuals just can't survive the winter, or they just won't reseed well?
Yeah.
Or won't just...
So it's a lot of combinations of a lot of different things. Sometimes it's weather, sometimes it's their season. That's all that they'll give you, and then the next year they'll regenerate, by a seed. But yeah.
Okay.
Perennials is usually regenerated through a root. You want to keep those roots insulated.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we were smart, we would do perennials like all the time, right?
Yes.
And not have to keep
And then just a
replanting
few,
them.
because the annuals are so pretty, though.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
you've
hard
got to
not
throw
to.
some-
Mine are backwards this year. They just now decided to come out and pop out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's been a weird year though this
Right.
year with it's been a tough growing season for everybody. Our customers have also kind of said the same thing, like
Okay.
their yards just have not responded.
Dry, yes.
It's been dry.
Dry.
The heat
The drought
has
has
been
kind of
intense.
changed everything, and I feel like they're wanting us to do more of the xeriscaping, and I haven't transitioned there yet. But
Yeah.
how can we kind of integrate that, or what have you guys seen?
Right. So
this year?
one thing that Stephanie and I saw right off the bat was a huge need for the understanding of how xeriscape works. And when a lot of people think of xeriscape, they just think, ugly rocks and one or two plants, right?
Yes.
And that's not at all the case. There are several varieties of perennials, trees, and shrubs that you can use to really beautify your yard. We've got perennials that will give you color all season long. And so we've actually started a design section of our business where we have now been doing a lot of design work for our homeowners. And part of our initiative is to make sure what our goal is that you have some color throughout the entire year. So you have early season, summer, fall, and going into winter.
Because that's what we have here. We're not like in Arizona or St. George. We really
Yeah.
see that all around us. So it's hard to go straight to rock and grass.
Right.
So I
Nothing
love that you're
else.
talking about this because we just ripped out our park strips and we're xeriscaping it, and
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out what's the best. So tell me just a couple of really great plants
Yeah.
to put in there that are good for next to the rock.
So we're on our 23rd yard right now that we've designed.
Oh my goodness.
And just in this last summer, a lot of the items that we're using is items such as like your gaillardia or blanket flower. We use a lot of Carl Forster, which is a water-wise grass. There's all different types of grasses. There's different types of perennial desert flowers that will provide the color that you're looking for.
Okay.
The trick is making sure you have drip on it. So
Yes.
xeriscapes, they work wonders. You save a lot of water, but you've got to make sure you have the right drip
So
system in
just
place.
the lines and the drips, and you can help with that, right?
Well, because some of
Absolutely.
them
Okay.
may need more water than others. Is that what you're
Exactly.
saying? And so if you plant something there that is just getting a little bit, but it needs more, then that's a problem.
Exactly. So like a gaillardia or a blanket flower, that's a true native flower that you find here in the desert.
Okay.
You can go out to the West Desert and you'll see them growing naturally. They don't like a lot of water. And so if that's one of the items that we have in that yard, we'll make sure to put a smaller emitter that gives it less water versus something like a lavender that might require a little bit more water.
Because more water can kill too.
Exactly.
I'm learning that.
Yep.
Yes,
What happened?
I've done that too.
I have done that many a times.
You loved your plants to death.
Yes, I do. Overwatered.
Especially the succulents,
My kids loved my succulents to death. I'm like, no, stop putting water. We're helping you, Mom.
Yeah.
All the extra water that
My
nobody's
husband's
drinking.
like, I sit out there for like 30 seconds to 2 minutes, and I was like, wow.
Dude,
I thought I
or the
was
opposite,
bad.
where they're like, I'll water while you're on vacation, and then you come back in instead.
I never judge. I'm like, I get it. Okay, so tell us how we can transition now into our winter or fall months with our yards,
With your yards.
and our porches.
Well, and I know that, Natasha, you just talked about how your yard, like things are kind of starting to bloom out. Like my spring planters are starting to flower. I'm like, I'm not ready to get rid of you yet. You still look good.
Yes.
And so what I did is I went through the ones that still looked good, that were starting to bloom. One, I fertilize almost every watering. And so that will help help those blooms
wow.
reproduce.
Okay.
And then especially since we still have those, I mean, we're still having warm weather. And then on some of them, I just dig a little hole in the middle and I plop up a mum in there. And some of them I'll dig a hole, some of them I'll just leave them in the planter so that when it dies, I can just take it out and replace it with a new one.
I love
so
that.
So that's an easy way to
So
stick
I'm
it
glad
in.
you said that too, because I think that is my fear sometimes too, because some things are doing okay over here, but then you have something kind of dead and ugly over here. I'm like, oh, can I take it out?
I
Should
just
take
like
it
pull out whatever I don't like anymore. Or if it just is looking scraggly, I'll just pull it out and start sticking it. I put in maybe some mums. What else have we put in there? Cabbage in there.
Yep.
Even some pumpkins. We have a combination or a planter class that's going on this week. We'll have a few more this fall, but that you can just come in and do your own planter of things that maybe you can replace or things you can just stick in your planters that are still
I
doing
love that.
well.
Yes,
I'm
I
the
love
queen of
this,
throwing
yes.
pumpkins into
Yes.
my like front grasses and stuff. And then the stuff from the backyard that's kind of dying, I'll put it on my porch and kind of do that same thing. So
Yeah.
that's okay.
And my
So
biggest
festive.
thing that I've been working on this year is taking my mums. Our mums are perennials, and a lot of people just toss them.
Yes.
But we have some mums that are planted from last year that are now humongous, that are starting to rebloom. So if you know that you have a spot, like maybe in the middle of your vegetable garden, those mums are going to keep some of the pesky pests away.
Okay, so how do we do it? We let them go
for
till
the garden.
October.
Yeah, until they stop blooming, and then I just dig a hole, stick them somewhere else. And
Do I
then-
need to cut them off or anything, or just?
I didn't last year. I just
Okay.
left them.
I did not know they were perennials.
Yes, and so a lot of people toss them.
Yes, toss. Yes.
Okay,
They
and
put
then
them
what
out on the graves and then they
Yes,
drop
what
them.
I
we all need to go gather them up.
I need a
Plant
drip
them in there.
I feel
system at
ashamed.
my mom's headstone. I do. I put them out there. 2 days later, my dad's like, "Did you put a flower there? You need to water it." I have a question about the grasses. I have some in pots throughout my backyard on my porch. Can I cut those off and should I replant them like in my yard, or can they stay in the pot and come back again?
Yeah, so the thing about the grasses, my assumption is that they're perennial grasses,
Yeah,
correct?
I'm assuming.
Okay.
We're going to find out.
You can leave them in pots. The thing about grasses is, they're going to widen out, so you want to put it
Yeah.
into a bigger pot every year.
Okay.
The other thing you can do, and I don't like to share this out too often, but you can go in and you can cut those grasses in half, and now you've got two. And then you put one in one pot and the other in another pot.
Okay.
And now you've got two grasses growing. And then
Can I put them in my yard?
You can.
I could.
Yeah,
Okay. And do I
absolutely.
need to cut them down low with the grasses?
You-
Because I see people do that.
You can, and so it's all preference, really. It
Okay.
doesn't hurt and it doesn't help
Or you can
anything.
just let
Oh,
them
it
flop
doesn't.
over.
Okay.
You can let it flop over. I like to let things get real tall and straggly because I think that extra that extra growth on top acts like an insulator, like a blanket.
Yeah, that
so if
makes
you get a
sense.
really, really cold spring or a really, really cold winter, like we did this last winter,
Yeah.
that just kind of gives it a little bit added security that it's going to keep the roots warm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna
that's
try
a
that.
good tip.
Split it, put them in too.
Yep.
Or maybe in my yard. I really wanted to transplant them to the yard. So.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, just take a picture and send them to us on Instagram or Facebook.
Oh, you guys always say that.
And we will
I need
help
to do
you.
that. Need to
My mom has been obsessed with hollyhocks this year, and I love hollyhocks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now is the time to plant them? Or are we a little late?
You're a little late for the hollyhock. You can, but they're not going to do anything until next spring
Next year,
anyways.
okay.
Yeah, if you want to get them in the ground, right now is just kind of that in-between time frame where you can put things in the ground, but it's a 50-50 risk if it's
Yeah.
going to survive or not.
Okay.
Ideally, you'd like to get all your perennials in the ground by August
Okay.
and going into the first couple weeks of September.
Just so their roots get in there or something?
Yeah, you
Okay.
want those roots to really get in there and really dig in and get set for the winter. If you plant much later than that, you run the risk of the roots not anchoring in, and if you get a cold snap, it comes in, it can go straight down and get to those roots and kill them. So.
Oh my word, we love your expertise. Please come back and
Right?
visit us again. So if anybody wants your help, Instagram, online,
Facebook.
and Facebook. Okay.
And all this joy
Yes,
and love.
so
We love
We're
it.
gonna try and get to go to it. We're
Yeah,
gonna try and get to
and
a
this.
class. Yes,
Okay.
all of it. Love
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Coming up on Studio Chatter, we've got a great idea for your Halloween family outings. Stay with us to find out more.